right. Horses kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. You'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.
Howdy there, I'm Matt McKinley and we're burning daylight.
In the saddle till the job's done right.
Welcome to Burnin' Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Well, welcome back, Daylight Burners. It is Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. It is unofficially opening day. I guess it's officially. It's not the real opening day, but opening day of baseball. Yankees and Giants square off tonight, 8:05 Eastern on Netflix. Who do we got? I've been working on all of this sports stuff like quite a bit here recently, and I should have had starting pitchers. I know Max Fried is going for the Yankees and probably Logan Webb. Preview. Yes, Logan Webb, Max Fried. It's in San Francisco, so that'll be a good one. But this is the Friggin Farm and Ranch Report, so let's get into it. Today's report, I'm going to call this the herd read. I'm reading the herd here. I'm going to turn into some sort of analyst. I'm an analyst, guys. But the herd read for the day, the board says up and the rancher leverage says watch your step. Bullish on the board, bearish on rancher leverage. The futures, June live cattle settled around 234 and 65. Yesterday up about $1.25. April feeders came in about 32.5, up about $1.30. Both contracts in the green on the day as outside markets lent support. We had the equity rally. Crude backed off after Trump postponed some of the Iran strike plans. For now, we'll see. Got to get them out of there. On the beef side, box beef is still hovering right around, right below 400 on the choice, mid 390s on the select. Morning cutout had choice at 399.5, select around 393 and change. So wholesale demand hasn't really rolled over. The boxes are firm and the packers are still moving product. But out in the country, the USDA is still calling negotiated cash trade light or inactive in a lot of regions. And the few trades that do print are still pretty well stuck right around 235, and the packer margins, according to Hedger's Edge estimates in yesterday's CME recap, have pushed north of $100 ahead. Talking about $118 ahead this week versus $57 a week ago. So the margins doubled in 7 days. So my bias is a bullish board and bearish leverage. 70% confidence in that. And that's today's herd read. And we'll come back next week and see how we did on it. But let's talk some numbers. June live cattle's 234.65, up about $1.25 on the day. April feeders were at 352.48, up about $1.30. And the feeder index is still sitting north of 361. So no real panic in the replacement market yet. The box beef side choice is 6 to 9 at $399.50, down about 60 cents from Friday. Select 6 to 9 at $393.56, up about 60 cents. 5-day averages are still in the low 400s for choice, mid 390s for select. And the point being that the box is strong, but it's and not collapsing. The outside markets matter today because traders finally decided to trade something. The equity markets rallied. Crude oil softened after the White House signaled that they're going to postpone some strikes on Iranian power plants. And that risk off, risk on move, it fed straight into the cattle buying. Yesterday's cattle on feed report was already yesterday's news. Today, it's all about Wall Street and the White House and whether anyone is actually going to launch missiles at anybody else's grid. It's kind of that's the whole thing. Is Trump says we're going to bomb your power plants, and then the Iranians said we're going to bomb all your bases in the region. And I don't know what the accurate story is, but it sounds like a lot of our bases have got hit pretty hard. The death toll has been luckily fairly minimal. I don't want to minimize it, but in the grand scheme of things, that part has been okay. But it sounds like they've done some real damage over there. But that's a story for Fence Post Politics, and this is the Friggin' Farm and Ranch Report. All right, moving on. Let's talk. Let's connect some dots here because this is where the system kind of shows its hand. So negotiated trades, most days this month, USDA has labeled cash cattle trade as light or inactive. And some days we're talking about a few hundred head negotiated trades setting the benchmark for the entire fat cattle complex. So whether you're if you're selling cattle, you're settling on the cash market. That's just I'm going to pay you this much pound. This animal weighs this much. Boom. Handshake. Money changes hands. Deals made. But if you're trading on the grid, that couple hundred head is what sets the baseline for where they price where they formulate their grid prices. So it's taken a very, very small sample size to set the standard for the entire market. And that's where the Packers have the real leverage. So some days we're talking about a couple hundred head of negotiated trades setting the benchmark for the entire fat cattle complex, a few hundred head. And that's a country we finish millions of head of cattle every year, and it's just those few hundred head that set the benchmark. So the spread, cash fats are sitting at 235 live in the major feeding regions: Kansas, Nebraska, Texas Panhandle. Box beef is pushing 400, and Packer margins, like I mentioned just a minute ago, have doubled to around $118 a head. So when a Packer can double his margin in 1 week, and you can't move cash $1, not even $1. It's like, are you in the market or are you in the system? And that's a system. What's actually happening is we're pricing a multi-billion-dollar beef industry off of what amounts to a couple of loads and a handshake. Most cattle are trading on formulas and grids that reference that tiny little sliver of negotiated cash trade. When that cash number is set by 300 head on Tuesday in Garden City, while 100,000 head trade on the grid off that number, it's not real price discovery. You just have what they call here. This is an AI quote here, I think. It doesn't show a quote from an actual person, but it says you don't have price discovery, you have price decoration. So kudos to AI on that one. That was pretty good. But they've got the hooks, they've got the spreadsheet and the margin. And on the flip side, if you're on the other end, you got a pen full of fats and then a phone that ain't ringing and nobody answering your calls. So it's not a market, it's just leverage, and it's all on the Packer side of the scale. And but we've been talking about this for long damn time, but we're going to continue to talk about it because it continues to be an issue. But here's an issue you can't control, we can't vote on, but it's there, and that's the weather. So anyway, back to that was my slide there. On the Packer leverage. So cash cattle 235. All right. So it's margin doubled, and so you're getting a ghost price. It's a formula. Your entire bulk of the formula cattle just hovering off of that ghost price from the handful of cattle bought on a random Tuesday in Garden City. And so, and it's not necessarily just that one time, but many times that's how it happens. Just like one single deal. All right. But let's talk about what you can't control, what you can't buy, and what you can't vote on. And that is the weather. We're at record low snowpack and multiple of Nevada snowtail sites. So all the ski resorts are kind of hurting right now. The Humboldt Basin is sitting about 40% of the medium snow water equivalent, which is the lowest on record. Not great. NRCS put out their weekly water and climate update last week, and the language was not subtle. Widespread worsening of abnormal dryness and drought, with Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico all getting hammered. For us over here in Mason Valley, Smith Valley, the Walker River system is going to run dry early, it seems like. The Humboldt's not going to have the base flow to carry everybody through to June, July, and August. Irrigation allocations are going to be tighter than a new pair of boots. And unless we get some kind of miracle between now and June, you're looking at a summer where you're buying feed instead of growing it, or selling cows that you didn't plan to sell, or both. And you're running on hope, and the snow that you hoped on hadn't showed up. But the real shitty deal is the board doesn't care. June cattle can be up $1.25, and the box beef can be strong, and the packer margins can double. But if your ditch is dry, none of that really matters. You can't trade futures in a ranch without any water. So between the record low snowpack and $100 head packer margins, $118, the only thing really flowing right now is your profit straight into the Packers pocketbook. So on the policy side, no big law passed yesterday because it's Congress. Why would they do that? But the policy that's still in place is moving your business every day. On the geopolitics side, Trump's call to postpone certain strikes on Iranian power infrastructure. It helped him knock crude oil down a couple of bucks. He's also been allowing Russia to trade some oil without sanctions, and then even some Iranian oil that was out at sea was allowed to be sold to help stabilize the market. That the Strait of Hormuz, pretty notable spot in the world, turns out. Anyways, so crude oil's down a little bit, and that fed into the cattle futures buying. June cattle were up, feeder cattle's up, and the whole thing got a little bit of a tailwind from Trump throwing out a truth social and allow some ease on the oil pressure. But there's nothing fundamental about that. Like it's that's just one guy that's just moving the entire board with like I said, and he's not even like hammering it out with his own thumbs. He's got some little blonde lady carrying a laptop around composing his truths, his tweets. The interest rates, the Fed's still higher for longer. There's no rate cut, so operating notes still expensive. Land notes are still expensive. And if you're trying to restock or expand or replace equipment, and you're doing it with money that costs twice what it did 3 years ago. Farm bill, still no deal. Shocker. DC's mostly background noise on that because there's other hot topics to talk about. But the silence is real expensive because, well, they're not even arguing over baseline. That's what I put here on my notes, but they're not even arguing over baseline and reference point. They're just figuring out how's the next way that we don't make a deal with these guys. And it's kind of insane. So yeah, if you're in this cow business, your business is leveraged to three things that you don't vote on. It's rain, and it's interest rates, and it's the Packers kill schedule. DC doesn't have to pass a new law to choke us out. All they have to do is sit on their hands while while your fertilizer and your fuel and your interest rates are going through the roof, and then your rainfall is not climbing at all. And Congress is still getting paid, though. So I hope you weren't worried about that. You don't need to be. They're getting paid. And pat yourself on the back for that one. We're doing it. We're helping, guys. We are helping. Okay, so here's a story that I wanted to touch on. Is kind of one of my underreported segments, underreported story segment for today, and this one is reshaping the West faster than a lot of other things, and it's fast. It's reshaping things a lot faster than policy and DC, but it's what we're calling the quiet land grab. And so the Senate budget bill, there's language in there that's mandating the sale of 2 to 3 million acres off of federal public land. And it's not a study. It's not a pilot program. It would be a mandate, which I'm not necessarily opposed to. I think it's kind of ludicrous that the federal government owns so much land. But here's the kicker. So Western advocacy groups have been screaming about this for a long time. Like, you hear a lot of the hunter groups, the conservation groups, of course, the the climate change people, the environmentalists, of course, have been up in arms about it. And so this is one where I kind of get in trouble sometimes because I tend to side with some of the lefties when they're making sense, which is, granted, not a lot, but sometimes they do. And so on the conservation side and the environmental protection stuff, I do listen to them. I do hear what they're saying because I at heart, I'm a conservationist. I'm an environmentalist, just like most ranchers and people that are in this business. We just actually care about the land and the habitat, and not just making a show about it. But so the lefties have been screaming out about this for a while. That you got the hunters and the conservationists also crying about it, and not crying out about it, and then ranchers as well. But it's not making any prime time because it's boring. It's a boring topic until it's your grazing allotment that gets auctioned off. So it's a lot of billionaire land consolidations. Stan Kroenke, he owns the Rams. He owns the Denver Nuggets. I think he owns the Avalanche too. But he's already one of the biggest private landowners in the country. Added another 937,000 acres in New Mexico, almost a cool million. It's a chunk of land bigger than the state of Rhode Island. And I'm not opposed to people owning so much land necessarily, but they're like 937,000 acres for a guy that already owns probably millions of acres. That's wild. And what is he going to do with it? The Pathfinder Ranch in Wyoming, 916,000 acres, sold in February. And it was one of the biggest ranch deals in modern U.S. history. One buyer. And so what does that mean? Is that grazing access shrinks because when public land gets sold, or a billionaire and buys just like an entire county, the land doesn't stay in the multiple use working ranch rotation. It gets fenced, or it gets converted, gets developed. It gets just completely taken off the table. Land prices are going to climb up because of it. Somebody can write a check for 1 million acres, and family ranchers can't compete. Land's already expensive. And then when you're talking about production land, that's real expensive. And then you're bidding against a guy that owns a football team. And and he treats this this ranch in New Mexico. That's like his summer home, you know. It's just like another like credit onto, you know, if like he was an actor, it'd just be like one of the credits listed for like a small part in a movie that didn't do very well. That's what you are to me, New Mexico. You're a small part in a movie that didn't do very well. I'm just kidding. New Mexico's great, kinda. So the business model that we all grew up with, you run some cows, lease some BLM stuff, buy the place next door when the old man retires and moves to Arizona. It doesn't that model does not work when the entire landscape changes and just, you know, a single or a couple transactions, and then we got the government mandating public land sales so we can balance the budget, which again, I am not opposed to necessarily, but it's not me and you that are they're getting a chance at that. It's not like the Homestead days. No, it's Stan Kroenke and you know, Ted Turner and Elon Musk or whoever else. So it's not about who owns what. It's about whether, you know, you can keep these ranches that have been in families for generations. If you can keep them going, can they even stay in the game? Can they even start to compete? So when you mandate millions of acres of public land for sale, and then it's a bunch of billionaires that are just hoovering up all of it. In the meantime, you're not managing land, and you know, they don't say the quiet part out loud that we all know is like that money's not going to pay down the debt. It's not going to balance the budget. It's gonna continue the wars in Iran, Ukraine, Gaza, wherever else. Maybe we'll steal another South American dictator. But we're not going to save any money by selling off all this land. But so then, like I'm not a fan of the federal government owning it, but I guess I'm way more of a fan of that, and we could still have the chance to go use it, than having a billionaire just blocking everybody out. It's like, well, that I, and I'm not opposed to somebody owning land, obviously, but that's kind of a chicken shit way to go about it. And the sad thing is, it happens a lot more than anyone cares to admit. All right, so let's bring it on home. Again, opening day, Yankees Giants, 8:05 Eastern on Netflix. Baseball's back. Spring is here, and for a lot of people, including myself, it's going to mean some optimism, a fresh start, and some long summer evenings. Hot. Got a lot of work to do, but there's always a baseball game on the radio somewhere. And with the technology that we have, the MLB app, truly, whatever game you want to listen to or watch, you can find it. But if you're a rancher in the West, spring 2026 is bringing something a little bit different. We got a record drought. We got tight money. We got packer leverage that you can't fight, or it's real hard to fight it. And we got this quiet land grab that's changing the map faster than Congress could ever think of. So with all that said, let's sit back, crack a beer, and watch America's pastime. But remember this, the game on the field has rules, it has umpires, has a strike zone that everybody agrees on now with the ABS strike zone. And if you don't agree with it, you can challenge it sometimes. But the game that we're playing out here in this cattle business is somebody else writing the rules, and they're not wearing stripes. They're wearing a suit, and they're working with spreadsheets, and they're making $118 a head while we're trying to figure out how to buy fuel and fertilizer, and then maybe have enough to turn the light on when you take a shower after dark. Anyways, Let's enjoy the baseball. That's been it for the Friggin' Farm and Ranch Report for March 25th, 2026. Please make sure you go like, subscribe, rate, review, and all of that bullshit. But if you would like to skip the ads, and if you'd like to get a little extra detail on these reports, as well as some other features, I'm working on a news dashboard that I developed through the help of AI, but it is working at the moment, and I have posted the links in my Patreon and Substack. Patreon will be going away. Everything will transition over to Substack here in the near future. So I will let everybody know on that. But if you'd like to get a chance to look at it, burnindaylight.substack.com. Other than that, find me on all the social medias, Matt McKinley or Burnin Daylight Podcast. But if you got any questions, comments, if you disagree with what I've said, you think I'm full of shit, let me hear about it. Send me a message, DM, send me an email, matt@burnin-daylight.com. And we'll see you here tomorrow. But thanks again. Now move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Your eyes up in the morning, beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horses kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. You'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right. Burning daylight. Well, life is just a gather, and you won't catch 'em all. But when you ride through the gate, make sure you sit up tall. I can see the horizon, it's looking pretty bright. Well, get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right.